Hello and welcome, my dear friend. Before anything else, let me tell you why heaven pulled you into this moment. Not because something is wrong, not because you missed a sign, but because today, without even realizing it, you moved in a way that reached God's heart. And He doesn't want you to overlook it. You didn't arrive here out of routine. There is a reason your spirit paused. There is a reason you felt that small tug inside of you to be here right now. Heaven saw something in your day that you didn't label as important, and God refused to let it fade into the background. Because what you did today mattered, and God is genuinely, deeply, personally happy with you. You may not understand it yet. You may be thinking, but I didn't do anything holy or impressive. That's exactly why this message needed to reach you. God wasn't smiling at some grand achievement. He was smiling at the quiet decision you made when no one was congratulating you. Think about that for a moment. Because you've learned to move through life without recognizing how much your heart has changed. What feels ordinary to you now, the gentleness, the honesty, the restraint, heaven sees as growth. You can move through a normal day and assume nothing significant happened, while God is looking at you with pride. You don't notice it because it's become your second nature to be loving, kind, and faithful. But in God's eyes, every act of kindness is counted. Maybe you carried someone else's weight, even though your own heart felt stretched thin. Maybe you resisted a habit that used to pull you down, even if the resistance lasted only a few seconds. Maybe you held your tongue in a moment where you easily could have snapped back. Or maybe you whispered a quiet, "God, help me," while washing dishes, sitting in traffic, or holding back tears, and didn't realize heaven heard every word. These are the moments you dismiss, but heaven documents. These are the moments you assume are small, but God calls them proof of who you're becoming. Let me say this plainly. Today, you made a choice that aligned with the person God has been shaping in silence. And angels noticed, not because it was loud or dramatic, but because it was sincere. Heaven responds to sincerity the way the earth responds to rain, quietly, powerfully, immediately. And that thing you thought nobody saw? God saw it so clearly that He asked for this moment so you wouldn't bury it under the noise of your day. Chosen ones, please hear this. Heaven is not just watching your results. Heaven is watching your intentions. People look at what you produce. God looks at what you fight through. People see how fast you grow. God sees how hard you try. People notice your victories. God notices the battles you never told anyone about. You underestimate your own heart because you measure yourself by what you wish you had done. But God measures you by the direction you're facing. And today, you faced Him. Even if it felt like a small turn, heaven recorded it as progress. Let me tell you exactly what God highlighted about you today. Your restraint meant more than your words ever could. Maybe you wanted to explain yourself, defend yourself, or react from pain, but you didn't. You chose peace when your emotions wanted a different path. God saw that. Your kindness carried more weight than you realized. A simple gesture, a calm tone, a moment of patience, the kind of thing you forget 5 minutes later. Heaven doesn't forget. Your endurance impressed God more than your strength. You woke up tired. You felt stretched. You didn't feel holy or powerful, but you still tried. Heaven sees that as courage. Your private obedience spoke louder than any public worship. Nobody knows the internal decision you made today, except you and God. But that decision changed the atmosphere of your spirit. Chosen ones, hear me clearly. God smiled at you today. Not because you were flawless, not because you followed every plan perfectly, but because you were faithful in the part of the day nobody else witnessed. You think you're barely holding it together. Heaven is watching you hold on. You think you're taking small steps. Heaven sees discipline forming inside you. You think you're struggling through ordinary moments. Heaven sees the heart of someone who refuses to drift away. My dear friend, God is pleased with the direction of your heart. He delights in your sincerity. He honors your effort. He recognizes your growth, especially the parts you don't even recognize in yourself. There's something else you need to understand about today. What moved God's heart wasn't just this one day in isolation. It was this day sitting on top of years of choosing Him when it would have been easier to go numb. He saw the mornings you got up with that heavy feeling in your chest and still whispered, "God, carry me." He saw the nights you lay awake staring at the ceiling, feeling like your thoughts were louder than your prayers, and you still chose to talk to Him instead of running from Him. He saw the messages you deleted instead of sending, the number you didn't call back, the door you didn't reopen, even though loneliness told you to. None of that was wasted. So when heaven looked at what you did today, it wasn't a random good job. It was the kind of joy that comes from watching a long, difficult chapter finally start to turn. Because you haven't just been behaving differently. You've been becoming different. Chosen ones, hear this deeply. You have been far more consistent in your growth than you have been giving yourself credit for. You think, if I still struggle with this thought, maybe I haven't changed. But God looks at you and says, look how far they've come. Look how quickly they come back to me now. Look how they refuse to let darkness have the last word. He doesn't judge your entire journey by your hardest day. He doesn't erase your progress because you had a moment of weakness. He doesn't cross out your obedience because you felt tired. You see the one time you slipped. God sees the 50 times you didn't. You replay the conversation where you wish you'd said it better. God remembers the 100 moments where you chose kindness instead of revenge. You focus on the prayer you didn't pray. God remembers the countless times you did, quietly, privately, in the middle of doing something ordinary. This is why heaven is happy with you today. God sees the whole story. You only see a screenshot. Think about how you treat a child who is learning to write. They press the pencil too hard. The letters are uneven. The line is crooked. But when they turn the page around and show you their effort, you don't throw it away because it isn't perfect. You smile. You see progress. You see courage. You see the way they're trying. You put the paper on the fridge. That's how God looks at you. You see the crooked lines. He sees your courage to pick up the pencil again after all you've been through. If people could see the full footage of your life, the private tears, the quiet self-corrections, the way you dragged yourself forward when nobody was checking on you, they would finally understand why heaven is clapping over you today. And I know there's a part of you that wrestles with this, because for a long time you've carried the thought, maybe God is disappointed in me. Maybe I should be further by now. Maybe He's tired of my process. You look at your mistakes and assume God sees you through the same harsh lens you've used on yourself. But my dear friend, listen carefully. God is not surprised by your weaknesses. He already knew your temperament, your triggers, your fears, the weight of your past, the wounds in your heart. He knew all of that when He called you. He doesn't stand back with folded arms, waiting for you to finally get it together. He walks with you in every small step, like a father who knows exactly how heavy your feet feel, but is still proud every time you take another one. You see slow progress. He sees solid foundations. You see delays. He sees protection. You see someone who's trying not to mess up. He sees someone who keeps choosing Him, even when it would be easier to disappear into old patterns. This is why God is happy with you today. Not because you turned into a different person overnight, but because your heart has stayed reachable, teachable, and responsive to Him. Chosen ones, I want you to notice something. In the middle of all your internal battles, you never fully walked away. You might have gone quiet for a while. You might have felt numb, disconnected, or confused. You might have had days where you wondered if your prayers were bouncing off the walls. But even then, something in you still believed. Something in you still reached. Something in you refused to let go of God, even when you didn't understand Him. That something is what heaven celebrates today. Because anyone can praise when life is easy. But you chose God in the middle of unanswered questions. You chose God in the middle of fatigue and frustration. You chose God even when you felt like the least spiritual version of yourself. And that choice, quiet, steady, almost invisible from the outside, carries more weight in the spirit than you realize. My dear friend, remember, you are loved, you are seen, you are becoming. And whether you feel worthy of it or not, God is genuinely, deeply pleased with the direction of your heart today. Thank you so much for taking this journey with me. If this message resonated, please like, share it with someone who might benefit, and subscribe to stay connected. Continue your awakening journey by choosing one of the videos on your screen that resonates with you the most. See you there.